Hello and welcome to Tropico for iPad. What I'm going to do over the next 15 minutes is take you through both Tropico the game and a few features of the mobile version. To get us started, I'm going to load up a save game called Gamescom, where we have been playing for already about 25 minutes so we can get into the real meat of the game. Right, so here we are on an island. As you can see, moving around the map is done by dragging your finger, twist to rotate, and pinch to zoom.
Today we have a special weather report from El Presidente himself. He predicts the night will be calm, starry, and sunny. Remember that our Presidente is always right, even when he's wrong.
So that was the dulcet tones of Juanito, the radio DJ. Right, so first problem, we don't have enough skilled workers. So what we need to do to change that is we can either hire skilled workers or we can change the immigration policy. So what we'll do here is we'll go and find the immigration office. We're currently set to Tropico first, which basically means immigration is forbidden. So we'll want to go and change that. So if we tap through all of the options here, and we have selected it to open doors. So we should now have a lot more skilled workers coming in. So that solves the first problem. As soon as you solve one problem, another one comes along. So there's no church in Tropico, and that's making the pious Tropicans very upset. So we'll probably have to go and think about trying to solve that, because we don't want them upset as a faction. Oh, and we now have a general election coming along. So the Tropicans want an election next year. It looks like you're going to win it, so let's give them the election. And let's also choose to give a speech. Giving a speech is always a good idea because you can bring factions that might not be voting for you on side and before the election, as long as you fulfill your promises afterwards. So basically, don't make promises you can't fulfill later on. Before you decide on what promises you want to make, you can flick through the almanac and it gives you a lot of detailed information about what the different faction relations are, what overall residents' happiness is, your overall budget right now, so can you promise to build something if you don't have the money, etc. So it's always good to flick through here and decide what promises you want to make to what people. So healthcare quality and religious quality are probably the two things which are the biggest hot topics. So we'll pick healthcare for the first option, and then who are we going to praise? Probably here we would probably want to go with the the religious faction, because they're looking pretty upset.
According to our sources, we're suddenly filthy rich and our treasury keeps growing bigger and fatter. If this is so, why do I still feel as poor and miserable as before? Yes, some numbers tell me that I should be happy and content, but I still can't find enough cash to pay for that red Che Guevara t-shirt I saw at the store.
Yeah, well, no matter how well you run the country, there's always a few people wanting a hipster t-shirt.
Proud nation of Tropico! I want to stress on the great progress we have made. Production has increased steadily, exceeding 25% in some areas. I tell you, we will complete the 5-year plan in 4 years. This is progress. Yes, there are problems. There will always be problems, especially in the current economic situation. The bad healthcare, about which I hear so much these days, is one of them. And it will be resolved, as will all others, in time as the global economy stabilizes. Through my years of presidency, I have received your gratitude, my compañeros. Alas, I am nothing but a humble servant, and you are my masters, my employers. Now I bow to the superior morality of the religious Tropicans, who absolve our sins in the face of God. The past is gone from our shores, but that is not enough. I will bring the future to Tropico. God is my witness that we will build a church in Tropico during my next mandate. God bless you and good day.
Now that El Presidente has finished giving his speech, I'll give a quick recap of what's just been going on. So I decided to build a church to fulfill the promise that we've just made, and seems it's going to take a long time to build it. I used the instant build feature. So the instant build feature allows a building to be built instantly, but you have to pay double the price. Paying double is sometimes the right practical choice. For example, building the church for the election so that you win the election, or if you happen to have a starving population, you might want to pay double and build a bunch of farms and solve the problem before it gets worse. Next, I quickly turned down an offer from the USSR for a trade deal for canned goods. My relationship with the USSR is already quite good. My relationship with the US is strained, so it's best just to turn that down. And as you can see, I've just finished building the high school. Certain buildings require high school educated workers. That includes the church. Instead of having to hire immigrants to move here who are high school educated, you can build a high school and have native Tropicans, which is a lot cheaper. So I've gone and done that so that the church will soon have a priest without us having to pay exorbitant fees. I also quickly tweaked the wages for both the high school and the church to make sure they were fully staffed as quickly as possible. Remember, building a church won't actually do anything if it isn't staffed. So what I've been doing now is having a look at how we can better exploit the natural resources on the island. So the status panel here you can bring up, and it can show you the best places to plant different types of crops, and also what kind of natural resources you have, for example iron ore deposits or gold deposits. Now that I've found a potential location for a mine, I need to draw a road there. So this is a new feature. If you tap and hold on the end of any road and drag, you can just draw a road with your finger, and then you can move the waypoints around to make any minor corrections. This is a quick and easy way of drawing roads, taking advantage of the iPad's touch system.
Greetings, friends of the Great Revolution. We have succeeded in yet another goal. Every man, woman, and child in Tropico knows the true face of our arch-enemy, El Presidente. In order to lull the tyrant into a false sense of comfort, some of our comrades are displaying a show of respect for our grotesque leader. After he gets comfortable enough, we'll deliver the lethal blow to his evil empire.
You can see radio DJs keep on popping in with sort of anti-governmental rhetoric every once in a while. So I'm now going to go and try and place the mine. It's key when you're trying to place a mine, don't place it actually completely on top of where the ore deposit is. You should place it next to it. If it's on top, the mine will find it slightly harder to be able to extract the ore. Right, so I'll just quick build this, and there we go. Right, so now I'll quickly turn the wages up a little bit to make sure that we get a whole bunch of workers nice and quickly and get it producing gold. Right, so everything you mine will be exported through your docks, which is over here. However, to make additional profit, the best thing to do is to take the raw materials and process them. So for example, if we were growing tobacco, we could go make hand-rolled cigars, and if we're mining gold, we can make jewellery. But before we do that, I'll quickly show the upgrade system. So here we go, we've got a few miners working at the mine, but if we select the mine, we can then change tabs and have a look at what upgrades are available. In this case, the upgrades need power, and we don't have power, so we'll have to look at upgrading later. Next, let's build a jewellery factory. So let's select that and look at where to place it. So what we'll probably want to do is place it next to the mine, so that the transportation is nice and fast between the mine and the actual factory. One thing of note is the auto-connect feature of the iPad version of the game. So certain buildings have a requirement that they need to be attached to a road. Often you could accidentally place a building and then have to attach the road afterwards. To make it a bit easier on the touch version, we make the buildings, when they're next to a road, snap to a road so that you know that they're connected, and then you can drag them along the road. This makes things a little bit easier. For this building, I can actually use upgrades, so I'm going to pay for these skylights to make the job quality increase. Seems that it's quite far away. Increasing the job quality means that people are more likely to want to work there. In Tropico, you should always keep in mind how far it is between where people live and where people work, and try and align that by the use of garages and also wages and also the quality of the job in hand. Okay, so the next thing to have a quick look at is the bonus objective. Bonus objectives aren't required, but they do increase your overall score at the end of the island. Right, so the average happiness is increasing, but let's have a look at other stuff. The food quality is going down, and 10 meals have been skipped, which means that we're not making enough food, or the food is too far away from the people who need it. So let's go and do a quick investigation to that. So let's find this farm here. This farm's a coffee farm. Let's look at changing its type. Oh, hang on, the election. So they reckon that we're going to win it with 95% of the vote. We can still stuff the ballots and get 100% of the vote, but I think we should be fine, and let's just allow it to go through properly. And there we go. We won by a landslide, and everybody is pretty happy with us. So, back to the farm. Let's cycle through the types and find corn. As you can see, the game has an autosave feature, which saves every 15 minutes, so if you make a big mistake, you can always jump back in time. Next, let's have a look at this farm and flip it from making corn to papaya, so there's a nice mix of different types of food. And oh, there we are, we've won the election with a landslide.
This is Juanito, Tropico News Today, with the election results. El Presidente has won with a landslide victory. Surely the people will continue to stand behind our beloved leader in the years ahead.
Next, let's build a fisherman's wharf. So this will not only allow you to have a fish for your population to eat, but you can also can and export to make additional profits. You'll also notice below the description we have building details and island statistics. These are quite useful, so you can tell what impact building that building might have, not only on what type of employees you need, but also things like, for example with this, the fact that people aren't very happy with the different mix of food. Finally, it also shows you how many of that type of building you've built. So for example in this case, we haven't built one before, so it's probably worth building one now. So it looks like the nationalists are a bit upset with our immigration policy right now. Before we decide to react, we should probably have a quick look at what our standing is with that faction. But sticking with food for a second, what we can probably do is have a quick look at our edicts menu and see if there are any edicts we can use to improve the food situation. So there are two here which we might be able to use. Food for the people, it increases the food quality, but it doubles the consumption. So we're probably not generating enough food yet to do that. And then we have social security, and that gets rid of shacks and makes people a bit happier. So it looks like we have two problems. One, the environmentalists don't seem to be too happy, and the second one is we need to have our Tropicans be educated quicker, so we don't need to have as many immigrants. So let's select the literacy program, and that allows students and workers to gain experience 30% faster, and let's activate it for $500 a year. And then let's flip over to the next tab. We have the pollution standards edict. So this would reduce pollution and would make the environmentalists happier. But it has the downside of 40% extra upkeep. So that just about wraps up my quick 15-minute preview of Tropico for iPad. Thanks again for watching.
Are you a rebel? It's always all work and no play for Presidente.